Okay, let us start today's session. So yesterday we didn't have the session. Okay, before getting into today's concept, see so far what we discussed here. See so far we discussed in QTP VB script concepts and QTP core concepts means how QTP identifies, how QTP learns objects, and how to define the object configurations. What is a smart identification configuration? All these concepts are covered in this core concepts. After that, we discussed about object repositories, working with object repositories. And after that, we discussed about working with actions, different types of actions, how to create actions and how to copy and how to split actions. And after that, we discussed verifications, how to automate different types of validations in test cases using checkpoints, using get-arrow property, and using if conditions, and using some code logic, all the stuff we have seen in the verifications. And after that, we discussed about synchronization concept, how to make QTP to wait for application to get ready to execute the next step. So what are the different synchronization options can be used in QTP? So those options we discussed and we have seen in synchronization concept. And today we are going to discuss one important topic in QTP, that is parameterization. So to discuss this parameterization concept, let me open one QTP script which we already created. Insert new order script. I'm opening here. So in this script, what we are automating, inserting new order and display order number. So this is the functionality automated in this script. So first what we did, we have defined the QTP script description, and we have added here option explicit statement and variable declarations, and we added all the steps that should be automated in the test case as comments, and after that we have written the code for all the steps. That is what we have done here. And here we are getting the order number from this text box into this variable, and we are printing that order number. And before that, we have inserted here a synchronization point using wait property statement. It is waiting for this message. I'm sorry guys, why you are silent still that? Now all of you are able to see my screen? Hello? All of you are able to see my screen now?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yes, Professor.
Okay. Okay, see here we are getting the order number from this text box, and before this we have inserted synchronization point statement. We have inserted, and these are all normal inputting steps in the test case. And this is here we are calling some external action to execute the login flow. So this is the external action that we are calling here to run the login flow. And after that we are clicking new order button. Then we are entering data flight, and we are selecting the fly from and fly to values, and we are clicking on flight button, then selecting the flight and click OK button in the flights dialog box. And after that entering the name and entering the number of tickets and selecting the first class radio button. Here we are selecting the first class radio button in this statement. And after that we are clicking insert order button. After clicking insert order button, we are waiting. We are instructing the QTP to wait until this text message displayed on this object. So here we are using synchronization after clicking the insert order button, because application will take some time to complete that inserting process. To save that details what we have entered in the application will be saved in the database, and it may take some 5 to 6 seconds of time. So during that time application will be in busy state, it will not be in the ready state. So during that time QTP should not execute any step, it should be in waiting state. So for that purpose we have inserted here synchronization statement, wait property statement. After that we are capturing that order number displayed on this text box into this variable, and we are printing that variable. So this is what we have automated in this flow. See, in this flow what we are doing now, what we have automated, just we have automated input steps. We are inputting the data and we are clicking the insert order button and we are capturing the order number. That is what we are doing, correct? So here we have not automated any verifications in this flow at present. So we can add, we have to automate all validations also in the test case. So what are the validations that we have to do? Depends upon the test case flow that we are testing. The verifications can be different, correct? So here we don't have any verifications. Simply what we are doing, simply generate, insert a new order using valid input data and get that new order number. That is the flow. So this test case doesn't involve any verifications. Just simply input the valid data in all the required fields and insert the data, insert record order number, and get that new order number generated in the application. That is a flow we have automated. See, in this flow, in every step we are passing some input, correct? See, here we are passing the input, and we are entering here data flight, and here we are selecting the fly from city name and the fly to city name. And similarly here we are selecting the flight number, which flight you want to travel, either first flight or second flight in the list of flights. Here we are selecting the first flight by passing the input value 0. And similarly here we are entering the passenger name or customer name, and next we are entering here number of tickets. Understand? So these are all the inputs that we are passing in this script, correct? So this script is not completed. So let me take some other where you have. Okay, fine, let us take this one. See, this script doesn't have any verifications, that's why I feel it is incomplete. Okay, so I want to take some script with verifications, so to make it a completed automation script. See, this script doesn't write in includes any verification steps here, so I don't want to take this example for parameterization. Let me take this one, otherwise. One second, where is that? Okay, let me take this valid login. Simple thing. Valid login flow I'm taking now. Now let us take here. This login, valid login small test case. is a simple test case. Test that valid login functionality. That means the user should be able to log in into the application by using valid username and password. Correct? That is a flow, this test case. Now here we have automated these steps. Here we are invoking the application. Then we are checking here the login dialog box is displayed. If it is displayed, then we are reporting that login dialog box is displayed and this verification is passed, and we are reporting pass status in the result file. And after that, in the login dialog box, we are entering agent name, then we are entering the password, and we are clicking on OK button. And after that, we are checking that one more validation, whether flight reservation window is displayed or not. If it is displayed, then we are reporting the pass status. If it is not displayed, we are reporting here failed status. In case if the login dialog box itself not displayed after launching the application, then we are reporting failed status. So in this test case, we have automated two things. Here what we automated, just simply I'm writing here. See, in any test case, so far what we have seen, we have automated input steps, correct? Input steps we have automated. And next what we automated, verifications we have automated. And next what we have seen, synchronization we have done. And next what we have done inside our automation script, synch, is it right spelling? C is missing. Okay, synchronization we have automated. And what else we are using in our automation scripts till now so far? See, conditional statements we are using, correct? We have added conditional statements in the script. Conditional steps we have added. Next, what else we have added in the automation scripts? So reporting steps, report event steps we are using. That means reporting steps we have done. We have added in to our QTP script. Correct? And these are all the things so far we have seen. And also we have seen something, getting runtime application data, getting runtime data from the application. That also we have seen in inserting new order script. We are getting the order number from the application. That also we have automated. So these are all different automation steps we have added in our script. Okay, so far. Now, in the parameterization, what we are going to do, what we are going to add newly to this QTP script in the parameterization. See, in this script, we are using hard-coded data inside that script, inside this script. See, we're entering the agent name, Prasad, and we're entering the password, Mercury. Okay, so these two values we are using as input in this QTP script. And how we are using these two values as hard-coded data. So the data is hard-coded inside the script itself. All of you clear? That means this automation script is not yet completed. Yeah. Okay, so this automation script is not completed. See, in our real-time automation projects, we should not use any hard-coded data in the real-time projects. So automation script should not contain any hard-coded data. So it is one basic rule we should have to follow always. It is a basic guideline in any automation script in the real-time projects. See, so far till now we have added the following steps. One second. See, steps added in automation script so far. Okay, These are the things we have added in our automation script so far. All of you clear? One second. The size is very slowly. Okay. Okay, guys. Now, as per the one guideline that we have to keep in mind, one important note: hard-coded data should not be used in automation scripts. It is one important guideline. Okay, while creating the script in our automation script, until unless that data will never change. If there is any data which will never change, so every time the same data should be entered in that automation script. So only in such case you can use the hard-coded data. Otherwise, we should not use hard-coded data in the automation script. All of you clear? So in this script, we are using two datas. One is the agent name, another one is the password. Okay. So we are using here two different two values we are using, test data values we are using. Those two values are hard coded inside that script. So what we have to do now? We have to replace this hard coded data with parameters. It is called parameterization. So parameterization means nothing but parameterization is a process of replacing hard coded values with parameters. What is the parameter? What is the parameter? Parameter is, okay, I will write here parameterization. So what is the parameter definition? This is the parameterization definition, I could say. Okay, so what is the parameter? Parameter means nothing but parameter is a variable, is a kind of variable, is a kind of variable to which we can pass different and multiple values at runtime, either at runtime or design time. So this is called parameter. Parameterization means nothing but if there is any hard-coded data in the script, those hard-coded data should be replaced with parameter. That is called parameterization. So what is the parameter? Parameter is a kind of variable to which we can pass a different and multiple values either at runtime or design time. Okay, so in QTP there are different types of parameters, types of parameters, types of parameters, meters in QTP. So there are different types of parameters in QTP. The first type is action parameters, test parameters, and third one data table parameters, and fourth one environment variables, and fifth one random number parameters, and sixth one repository parameters. Okay, so these are all different types of there are six types of parameters in QTP. Yeah, 1 second, guys. Yeah, hi guys. So all of you are following me, right? Hello, hello. Yeah, okay. So these are all six different types of parameters we have are available in QTP. Okay. So now let us see today first parameters, action parameters and test parameters. Let us start with first parameter. How to use action parameters? What is the use of action parameters? See, all these parameters have different purpose. We'll be using these parameters in different situations for different purpose. So we should understand here for each parameter what is the use of that parameter and how to use that parameter in the QTP script and when to use it. If you understand what is the use of the parameter, okay. So if you see that, if you understand that how what is the use of each parameter, then you can understand where we can use this parameter and when it can be useful in our automation script. So let us start with first one, action parameters. Action parameters. So what is the action parameters? So we already discussed about actions, right? In every QTP script, there can be one or more actions. QTP test itself a collection of actions. By default, in every QTP script, there would be one action, action one. So this we already discussed, different types of actions, all those stuff. Now, what is the action parameter? Action parameter means nothing but very simple definition. A parameter defined in action is called action parameter. A parameter which is defined, a parameter which is defined in action is called action parameter. Very simple definition. Okay. So these action parameters are two types again. Action parameters are two types. Action parameters are two types. The first one is action input parameter and the second one is action output parameter. So these are the two different types of action parameters we can create inside the action. Then what is the use of action input parameter? Action input parameter. What is the use of this and how to create this and how to use this parameter in QTP script? That we'll see first. What is the action input parameter is the action input parameter, it is used to pass the data, to pass the data into child action from its parent action. That means to understand this action input parameter, we should know what is the parent and the child action is. We already discussed how to create. We already seen how to create parent and action child actions, right? So we have to understand first how to when we should use this action input parameter concept. This action input parameter concept should be used in this scenario. In which scenario? If you want to pass the data from parent action to its child action. If you want to pass the data into the child action from its parent action, then we can use this action input parameter concept. All of you clear? Okay, now let us see that. I will show you with a simple example, not with this script. I'm going to create a new script with the two actions, one parent and one child. So action one, I will assume it is a parent action. So inside this action one, I will be creating now one child action. So how to create a action? Go to insert, call to new action, and I want to create a child action now. So I should select here second radio button to create a child action. If you select the first option, it creates a top level action. That means a parent action. Another parent action will be created. Individual action will be created if you select this option. And if you select this option, this action 2 will be inserted inside action 1 as a child action. So I'm clicking OK now. Now look at that flow, how these actions are created inside the script. Go to view and select test flow. Now you can see action 2 is inserted or created inside action 1. So when you insert or create a child action, a run action statement will be generated in the parent action for the child action. So what is the parent action for this action 2? Action 1 is the parent action. Go to that. See that. There is a run action statement generated in the parent action for this child action. What this run action statement will do? It will execute action 2. The run action statement is nothing but it is a calling statement for the child actions. Okay, fine. Now, see now action 1 is our parent action. Okay, and action 2 is a child action. Now we are calling action 2 inside action 1, correct? So I will print one statement before this run action statement inside the action 1. Print it is action 1. Otherwise I will say that step 1 in action 1. So this message I'm printing in the step 1 inside action 1. And second step is run action statement. This statement will run action 2, that is a child action inside this parent action. Now what I want to do, I want to pass some data from this action 1 into this action 2. All of you clear? I want to pass some data, some value from action 1 into action 2. So that is the scenario when we should use the action input parameter, right? So I want to pass some value, some data from action 1 into this action 2. So what I should do? We should use here action input parameter in this scenario. So let us see how to use action input parameter. Using how to use it. To use that action input parameter, so that I'm writing the question how to pass the data into child action from the parent action. That is For this, what we should do first, the step 1, create action input parameter in the child action. What we should do, first step, create action input parameter inside the child action. Let us do that one. Open the child action 2. I've opened it. And how to create action input parameter, it is very simple. Simply go to action properties window. We have to go to action properties window, either by right clicking here, or by right clicking, or you can go to edit, I guess, edit action. Action properties is not available here. Okay, then you should go only here, right click on this action 2 and select here action properties option. Now it opens action properties dialog box. Let me take that snapshot. So what I have to do, go to action properties. How we are going to this option? Right click on action 2, right click on child action, and go to action, and from there you should go to action properties. Okay, go to action properties. Now it displays this dialog box. Sorry, it is opening, capturing that full value. Okay, this is the window will be generated. Okay, I don't take this one. Once this dialog box is opened, then again we have to navigate to parameters tab. Okay, it is important. Inside this parameters tab, you can see two list boxes at the top and bottom. The top list is boxes input parameters, and the bottom list box is for output parameters. So I want to add input parameter now. So click this plus button, then enter that parameter name. For example, agent name is my parameter name. I'm passing that parameter name as a agent name. So, and also I will be defining here something like that it is a action input parameter. So I will say that input parameter IP I'm giving as a prefix to understand that it is a input parameter variable. Okay, so that's it. And select here type of value, what type of value we are going to assign to this parameter, string value. Done. If you want to assign any default value, yes, we can assign some default value to that parameter. Prasad. All of you clear? This is how we have to create input parameter. Now I'm taking that. This is the parameter. Okay. After going to this one, now what is happening? Go to again select parameters tab. Next, what I have to do, click plus icon, click plus button, turn at top list box. Okay, and enter parameter name, and select parameter type, data type, and enter default value, it is optional. Enter default value, it is optional. Okay, that's what. And click OK button. This is the what I have to do that. Click OK button. That's it. So the parameter is defined. Parameter is defined. Click OK. Now done. Parameter is created. Now to that parameter, for what purpose we are defining that parameter? Finally, see, we defined here what is the parameter to replace some hard-coded value. Where we define that? To replace some hard-coded values, we are using parameters. Understand? So here I defined some action input parameter inside action 2. So that input parameter I can use wherever I want inside that action 2, inside that child action. All of you clear? So for example, I want to display that input parameter value simply. That's how I want to use that parameter value in this child action. So I should write here statement print parameter of that parameter name, IP agent name. This is the name what we defined in the action properties dialog box as a parameter name. So that name should be used here inside the parameter statement. So this is how we can access that parameter value in the script wherever you want. Are you clear? So this is what we have to do. First, what we are doing, we are defining the parameter. How we are defining that? Create action input parameter. So all these steps comes under creation of action input parameters. So I will move right side. All these steps comes under creation of steps, creating action input parameter steps. After creating action input parameter, what we should do? Next step. Hey, everything is changing. Okay. I want to move this out left side still. Yeah. It should be 2, starting from 2. Okay. So the second step, see, this is the first step. How to pass the data into child action from the parent action. For that, what we are doing, first we are creating action input parameter in the child action. That is what we have done. We defined action input parameter. And next step, what we should do, use that parameter in the action. So now once we define the input parameter inside the child action, so the input parameter can be used in the child action wherever we want, wherever we want. I'll be clear. So I'm using that parameter here inside that child action. Okay, so we can use that input parameter can be used in the child action. So I'm using that. After that, what we're doing, we have to pass the value to this parameter. Into this parameter, we have to pass the data. See, to the parameter, you have to pass different values during the runtime or at the time of design. Okay, so to this parameter, third step, passing the data. How to pass the data into this input parameter from the parent action. So that is a third step. Pass the data into input parameter from the run action statement in parent action. Say that. So what we have to do next step, you have to pass the data to this input parameter from the run action statement inside parent action. So go to that parent action now. Inside the parent action, there is a run action statement for this action 2. And here, after one iteration, and here you can pass the value. For example, I'm passing this value I am passing. So this is the data I want to pass. That means this is the data we are passing to the input parameter defined inside action 2. From where we are passing? From the run action statement inside parent action. Say that. That is what we have to observe. We are passing the data from run action statement inside the parent action. So this value will be assigned to input parameter inside action 2. So to this input parameter, that value will be automatically assigned. And now wherever you use this parameter, what could be that parameter value? Chandu, whatever the value that we are passing in the parent action, that will be assigned into this input parameter, and that input parameter we are using inside the child action. So this is the way how you can pass the data from parent action to child action through action input parameter. Okay, now if I run the script, it will print here Chandu value, because that is the value we are passing here in the parent action. So this data will be printed. We are printing this data inside the child action here. So here it will be printed. All of you clear? So here I will write here one more thing to understand that this is a statement executed inside action 2. Action 2. It is action 2 and step 1. All of you clear? Inside step 1, I am printing this value. Now let me run the script. What is the first step it will be running? This statement will be running first inside the parent action. It will print this message. And after that, this action 1 is calling action 2. So that means it will run this action 2. While running this action 2, at the time of calling this action 2, this value will be assigned automatically to this input parameter. And that input parameter value we are printing inside this child action. That's how it will be executed. Now let me run this. Now look at that print window. Say that. It is a step 1 inside action 1. It is nothing but it is a statement executed. And after that, what is happening? This statement is calling action 2. Okay, I will write here one more statement to understand that. After completing action 2 execution, again control will be coming back to parent action. So let me write here one more statement. Print. It is a step 3 in action 1. All of it clear? It is a step 3 in action 1. Now I will run. Now see that flow, how it executes. See, look at that. So the first step, it is a step executed. So it is printing this message, first line. Then it is calling action 2. It is running action 2. So inside action 2, what is the statement I have written? Print action 2 step 1. And here we are printing that input parameter value. So what is the value printed in the second line? See, so Chandu value is printed here. So this is the value we are passing from parent action, and that is the value we are using inside the child action. So after completing this action 2 execution, again control is coming to action 1. Next statement. So it is printing this statement. So all of you clear how to use action input parameter? Okay, now let me see that our example, our application example. Okay, It is running. Okay. I'm opening now insert order. Let me go to insert new order. Okay. And here, why I'm calling here, why I'm taking this example. See here, I'm running one action, login action. Is it right? We are calling here login action. So inside this login action, we are using two values. What are those two values? Agent name and password. So right now, those two values are not parameterized. Those two values are hard coded. Is it right? So first what we should do? So this is the child action. Is it right? This is the child action and it is the parent action here. Understand that. This is the parent action and this is the child action. So what is the process of using action input parameter? First create action input parameter in the child action. So we can define n number of input parameters. So in this child action, I have to define two input parameters, one for agent name, one for password. All of you clear? So what we have to do now, we have to go to this particular action inside the script and define input parameters, two input parameters I have to define. So that I will do. Now go to valid login, open that action. So here there are two values. So these two values I will be replacing with, I want to replace with some parameter. And to these parameters, I want to pass the data from its parent action. Understand my point? That means I'm going to call this action in another action. So that becomes a parent action. So from that action, I want to pass this agent name and password. So if it is my scenario, if it is a way how I'm going to create, how I'm going to use this action in my QTP script, that means I will be calling this login action as a child action in other QTP scripts. And I want to run every time login script by using different agent name. In script 1, I want to pass one agent name. In script 2, I will be calling same login function, same login action, but I want to pass a different agent name. So in each script, I may want to pass a different agent name, not the same agent name and same password. All of it clear? So that means how we are going to use this action in our automation script. Based on that, we should decide which parameter should be used in these 6 parameters. All of it clear? In this example, I'm assuming that I'm going to use this login action as a child action. I will be calling this action in other QTP scripts. So that's how I will be using this action. So in that scenario, I can use here action input parameters. So let us create action input parameters here. Go to action, properties, parameters, define. What is the first parameter? Input parameter, agent name. And I'm defining one more parameter, input password. So I defined two parameters in this login action. Okay. And save it. Save that script. Now we have to use those parameters inside this action, inside this child action, to replace these hard-coded values. All of it clear? You define the parameter and you should use that in the action wherever you want, wherever it is useful, wherever it is required. So here I am replacing parameter of IP agent name. So here the parameter name is a case sensitive, so we should be careful. If you define a small letter, you should use small letter. If it is a capital letter, it should be capital letter. Parameter of password, IP password. Okay, I'm using it. Done. I saved it. Now close it. See, to these parameters, when I want to pass the data at the time of calling this action 1 in different scripts, I want to pass different values to these parameters. Suppose if I am calling this login action in the script 1, I can pass one agent name and one password. And when I'm calling same action in script 2, I can pass a different agent name and password. So like that, to the same action I want to run with the different values in different QTP scripts. All of you clear? And save this. Now let me open that insert new order script. And here, so here we are calling that login action. So that login action is a child action here, and this is the parent action. So here I am passing the value. How many values we should pass? Two values we should pass, because we defined two parameters inside this login action. Which is the first parameter we defined? The first parameter I added agent name in the list of parameters. Understand? So the first value you should pass to that parameter, to that first input parameter. So my first value is Prasad, and the second value is Mercury. See that? So these are the two values I am passing into this action. Now, when you run this statement, this action 1 will be running with these values. You could observe that. It will be running little faster. So just watch it. I will be running the script now. See, Prasad is entered. It is running good. So this is how you will be using this concept in the real-time projects. If you have some common action which can be used in multiple scripts, understand, and that common action you want to run in different scripts or different test cases using different values, different datas. Now let us see. If I pass an invalid agent name, here I am passing invalid agent name. PR I am passing, only two characters I am passing. It is invalid agent name. So now login function should fail. It should not log in. Now let me run it now with invalid password, with invalid agent name. Run. See that we are getting error. PR is entered. Because that is the value we are passing here in the script. So the same value it is entering in the login dialog box. All of you clear? Understand this concept? Action input parameters concept. How it is working. How to use action input parameters in the script. Any doubts, guys? All of you are able to understand it? All of you clear? Hello? Chandu and Subbarao. All of you clear? Okay. So it is very simple concept and it is very useful. See, if you are in the real-time projects, right? Sometimes like this, you will be creating the scripts like this. You will be calling actions, QTP actions in other actions. So in this scenario, then we can use this concept. But in the real-time projects, right? Mostly you may not be following actions concept. You will be following mostly functions concept. So in that case, we don't use this kind of run action statements. So in that scenario, this action input parameter concept may not be useful much. Okay, but in case if your scripts are created like this as actions, and you are calling actions in other actions, in that case, if you want to pass any data from the parent action to child action, then in that scenario, you should use this action input parameter. See here, very important point. The action parameter is used to pass the data into the child action from its parent action. We can't use action input parameter to pass the data into the parent action from the child action. it is not possible. See, for example, okay, I'm saving this. Open a new script. I'm creating one child action, new child action. Done. I'm creating one more child action inside action 2. Look at that. I'm creating one more child action inside action 2. See, this is the hierarchy. Action 1, action 2, action 3. Now, I'm creating one more child action inside action 1. Inside action 1, I'm going to create here. Oh, sorry, it is also created inside like this. Okay, delete it here. I want to create here inside action 1, not inside action 2. Here I want to create one more child action. Insert. Done. Now look at that. This is the hierarchy. Action 1 is the parent action. Action 2, action 3, and action 4. Now we can use action input parameter concept to pass the data from the parent to child, to its immediate child. That is important. Okay, that means we can't pass the data using action input parameter from action 1 into action 3. It is not possible because action 3 is not an immediate child of action 1. Action 3 is a child, immediate child of action 2, not action 1. So for this action 1, which is the immediate child? Action 2 only. Action 3 is not an immediate child of action 1. So we can't pass value or data from action 1 directly into action 3. It is not possible. If I want to pass the data from action 1 into this action 3, so I think so, yeah, I could represent in PPT. One second.
Daddy, call the double.
Yeah, one second, ma. I have some PPT. I want to refer that. Okay. So here I'm adding one more PPT. Copy. Paste it. Okay. So here I am going to say that action input parameter. Okay. Just to understand better how it will be, where it should be used, where it should not be used. Input parameter. Okay. Now let me review all those things. Okay. Now let us take one simple small things. Okay. This is action 1. And this is a parent child action for this, and this is one more child action for this, and here I have, this is the structure I created, right? Let me take define here quickly. It is action 1. Okay, and this is action 2, and this is action 3. Action 3, and this is action 4. Action 4. Now it is like this, the relation is like this. So this is a child of this. Okay, I don't bother about this. And this is the child of this one. There's a child of this one. And this is the child of this one. Okay, so this is a structure. I have created actions. Now using action input parameter, you can pass the data only from the parent action to its immediate child action. That is the important point. Okay, so here you can pass the data from action 1 to action 2 is possible. From action 1 to action 2 it is possible. So here I am writing different combinations. From action 1 to action 2. Action 2. It is possible. Okay. But from action 1 to action 3 is not possible. Action 3. It is not possible. It is not possible case. And similarly from action 1 to action 4 it is possible. And similarly from action 2 to action 3 it is also possible case. Now what about action 1 to action 4? So I already defined it as one. Action 2 to action 4, is it possible or not? See here, the first case is possible and second and fifth cases are not possible. So it is possible. It is possible. Is it right? And this one, it is not possible directly. Not possible directly. That is important. Directly not possible, but indirectly we can do. Indirectly means first you should pass the data from action 1 to action 2 and from action 2 to action 3 we can do. See, it is possible from action 1 to action 2 we can pass, right? Similarly from action 2 to action 3 also possible. But from action 1 to action 3 directly it is not possible. Understand? From action 1 to action 4 is possible. It is possible case. And action 2 to action 3 also possible. Is it right? And action 2 to action 4 not possible. And similarly from action 2 to action 1 is it possible? Not possible. Action 2 to action 1 not possible. Understand? So these are all the different cases how we can pass the data from different one action to another action by using input parameter. That means action input parameter can be used only to pass the data into the child action from its parent action, only from its parent action. All of you clear? Okay. Now let us go to the next parameter type in action parameters. Action parameters are two types. First one is input parameter, that we have seen that. Action input parameter, what is the use? What is the action input parameter use? I will define here. Use of action input parameter. input parameter. Okay, it is used to pass the data into the child action from its parent action. That is the answer for that. And how to create and how to use that input parameter, and how to pass the data into input parameters. It is also an important question. See, sometimes in interviews also they may ask you this one: how to pass the data, how to pass the data into action input parameter, how to pass the data to action input parameter. So how to pass the data from action input to into child action input parameter? First answer is from run action statement. From run action statement in the parent action. In the parent action. Or there is one more option. In action call properties window. Not action properties window. See, this is action properties window. There is one more window, action call properties. All of it clear? We can pass the data into this action input parameters either from run action statement in the parent action, or in the action call properties window you can pass the data to this action input parameters. Let me show you that. Action call properties window means nothing but you have to right click on the action name in the test flow panel, not in the test panel window. Here if you right click here, you cannot see action call properties option. The action call properties option is available only when you right click on the action name in the test panel. Action call properties are, you have to go to edit action. Here it is available. Look at that, action call properties. Okay, either right click here in the test flow panel or go to edit action menu, and here you can find action call properties option. So you have to go to this action call properties, and here parameter values tab, there is a parameter values tab. Okay, let me open that login script. There we can see that. So simply right click on this action 1, action call properties, parameter values tab. See, here you can pass the values to these parameters. Both are same. If you pass the value in this action call properties window, the same value will be reflected in the run action statement as well. Whatever the value you are passing in the run action statement, the same values will be reflected here in this window. Both are same. Either you can define or you can pass the data to input parameters in the run action statement or in the action call properties window. Both are same. Anywhere we can define. All of you clear? So let me take this snapshot. What's happening?
Hello, Prasad.
Yeah. To go to this
Yeah,
action.
are you sharing your screen?
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. You are not able to see?
No, right now. Okay. Actually, I had some audio problems, so I have reconnected now.
Okay. You should be able.
Okay, let me check whether I have connected to the
You should be
new
able to
link.
see my screen.
Okay. yeah, let me reconnect again.
Yeah. Okay. So that is action call properties window. So how to pass the data to action input parameters? So this is the answer. So there are three questions just to have to understand with all parameters. First point, what is the use of action parameter? Second point, how to use that? What is the process? And third point, how to pass the data to that parameter. Clear? So these 3 points we have to know for each parameter. So that is about action input parameters concept. Now let us go to the second parameter in action input parameters, action parameters, action output parameter. What is this? Action output parameter. See, the action output parameter is another type of action parameters. Action output parameters. Output parameter. The action output parameter is use of, what is the use of this? What is the use of action output parameter? It is a simple question and it can be asked. The answer is it is used to pass the data to parent action from its child action, or I can say not pass here, to return the data, or pass, or I can say return, to return the data. Pass or return I can use, because when child action can pass the data to the parent action, when parent action is calling the child action, and again control goes back to the parent action, at the time the child action can pass some data back to the parent action. That is called data returns. Okay, so it is used to pass or return the data to the parent action from the child action, from the child action. All of it clear? That is called action output parameter. Now let us see how to create, how to use this, how to use action, how to create and use that, how to create and use output action parameters, output parameter, action output parameter. So same steps here, same steps like what, how we have done here. The first step, create action input parameter. Let me copy that here again. So steps are up to here common. Go to, right click on the child action, go to action, action properties, and select parameters tab. Click plus button at bottom list box, not the top list box, at the bottom list box, and enter parameter name and define storage variable. It is changing here, storage variable, no default value required, no data type is required here. Enter the parameter name and define the storage variable name, variable or parameter, I can say it, parameter, and click OK button. Okay. So here I will take this snapshot. So let me see that how to create output parameter here. See, for example, from this login action, after completing the login action, inside this login action, what we are doing, we are checking two validations. The first validation, the login dialog box should be displayed, and the second validation, the flight reservation application should be displayed. These are the two validations we are checking in this login script. If any verification, if any of these one validation is failed, that means login is not successful. When these two validations are passed, only then that login is successful. If any one validation is failed in this login script, then definitely we could say that login is unsuccessful and login is failed. Are you clear? So after completing this login script execution, I want to return the status of this login script, whether login is successful or unsuccessful, whether login script is failed or is there any failure occurred in this login action execution. After completing the login action execution, at the end of the login action, what I want to do, I want to return the status of this login action execution, either pass or fail, or true or false, whatever the value I want to pass. For example, I want to pass true or false. All of you clear? I want to pass true or false. That means if this login action is executed without any failures, then I want to return true value. If this login action is executed with some failures, that means either this first validation or second validation is failed, or some error occurred during this script execution, then I want to return false value. Understand? So I want to return the status. What I want to do here, see, I'm adding here one more step to this login action. Return status value, either true or false. When I want to return, if there is no error, then I want to return true. If there is any error, I want to return false. That is simple. So how do you check that, whether is there any error or not? There are three possibilities here, because there are two validations in the script. The first script validation can be failed, it is one failure, and the second validation can be failed, so it is second failure. Or apart from these two validations, we may get some error during the execution of these steps, or during this step execution itself. You may get some error. Understand? So how you can check that? Is there any QTP error occurred or not? So there are three things: checking that whether this validation is pass or fail, or checking that second validation is pass or fail, and the third one, is there any QTP error occurred during the QTP script execution. So you may get some error during this during this statement execution itself. Understand? So any of these possibilities may occur. So in all these possibilities, I want to return false case, false value. Without any error, if these validations are passed, then I want to return true value. Understand? So how to define that? Whenever this else case is executed here and here, it is the validation failures. So I want to assign here false, status value as false, B status. I am defining here one more variable, B status is equal to false. And similarly, when it executes this else part, that means this validation is failed. So I am assigning B status variable as false. Understand? And now here I'm checking here if error dot description is not equal to empty, then then b status is equal to false. B state. What is this error dot description? ERR error. It is a QTP built-in object. If there is any error occurs during the QTP script execution, that error message description and error number will be captured in this error object. If any error occurs during the QTP script execution, that error information and error number will be captured in this error description. If no error occurs, then this error object should be empty. Then we can assume if this error object is empty, then we can assume that no error occurred in the QTP script execution. All of you clear? So I can make this error object empty by writing this statement explicitly at the beginning of the script. See that err dot clear. This statement will make that error object empty. That means it will clear all error data in the error object if any exists already. So before running this script, I am clearing that error object. That means that becomes empty. So after running all these statements, if there is any QTP error occurred during this steps execution, then this error object will not be empty. If no error occurs during this script execution, then still this error object should be empty. All of you clear? So we can use this error object, built-in object in QTP script to check that if any error occurred or not in the execution. So now I am capturing here b status variable. Declare this variable b status. It is a boolean dim. That's why I'm using b prefix b status is equal to true. Default value I am assigning to true boolean value. But when I am making this value false, either this condition is failed, whether this validation is failed or this validation is failed, then it will be running this else statement. Is it right? So in both the cases, I am assigning b status is equal to false. And after that, at the end of these steps, I am checking here if this error dot description is not equal to empty, then again I am setting this b status is equal to false. Otherwise, b status should be always true by default. All of you clear? Now I want to return this b status variable value. I want to return this b status variable value from this login action. So how to return the value from this child action to the parent action? See, you are calling this action, we are calling this action in other actions. So to that calling action, that means to that parent action, I want to return this b status variable at the end of the script execution. So that is the concept. If you want to return the value from the child action to its parent action, then you should use here output parameter. It is opposite to input parameter. Input parameter is used to pass the data from parent to child, and output parameter is used to return the data from child to parent. Understand the concept? Now we are clear what data you want to return from this login action. From this login action, I want to return b status variable value. So how to return that? What is the process? First, define action output parameter, not input parameter. Define output parameter in the child action. So let us define that. Inside this login action, we have to define output parameter. Go to action properties, parameters tab, and here click on this plus button, and here you will be defining parameter name, output parameter status. I define one name as a status, OP status. What type of value? A string value. Okay, done. Done. So here not the storage variable. I have written something wrong. It is not a defined storage variable here. Select data type, parameter data type, and click OK button. That's it. Output parameter is defined. Done. Okay. And next step, what we have to do here, the output parameter assign. What do we have to do next step? After creating the output parameter, assign the return value, whatever the value that you want to return from that child action. Assign the return value to output parameter. Output parameter in the child action. In the child action. All of it clear? So what value I want to return? I want to return this B status variable value from this action. So assign this variable to output parameter. That is simple. Parameter of, what is the name of the output parameter? OP status. It is the name I define, is equal to B status. So this is the value I want to return from this action. So what I'm doing, I am assigning that value, return value, to this output parameter. Understand? So after that, after assigning the value to output parameter, the next step, define, not the passing here. We no need to pass any data into the output parameter. What we have to do from in the output parameter? We have to receive the data from the output parameter in the parent action. So for that, define a variable or parameter in the run action statement in parent action to receive the data from child action output parameter. Output parameter. All of it clear? Define a storage variable. It is called storage variable. Storage variable or parameter in the run action statement in parent action to receive the data from child action output parameter. All of it clear? So that means what I have to do here, go to the parent action, save this child action now. Here nothing to do in this child action. What is this wrong? Oh sorry, we cannot assign here in the declaration statement. We should assign in separately, not here. B status is equal to true. Here we should write, not in the declaration statement. Okay, done. Now save the script. All of you clear? In this child action, what we have done? These are the steps we have done. The first step, why it is coming from fourth step? It should come from 1. 1. Okay, it should be 2. Yeah, correct. Now first create output parameter in the child action that we have done. After that, assign the return value to output parameter in the child action. So that is what we have done. First we defined this parameter inside action properties parameters tab. Here we defined one output parameter, and second step what we done, we assign the return value to this output parameter. Whatever the value that you want return from that child action should be assigned to output parameter in the child action. That is done. And the third step, what we should do, define a storage variable or parameter in the run action statement in parent action to receive the data from child action output parameter. So we have to go to now parent action. I am going to now insert login, insert new order script. where we are calling that login action. Here we are calling that login action. So in this run action statement, already we are passing two values for two input parameters that we defined, agent name and password. Apart from the two input parameters, we also defined one output parameter, that is OP status. So for that output parameter, we should define here one variable. One variable. So this is the variable B result. So I will declare that here. B result. B result. That means the action one execution result. This action returns one value. What value this action one returns? The B status variable value, correct? Through action output parameter. So whatever the value we assigned to the action output parameter inside this child action will be automatically assigned into this variable. That means this variable automatically receives the value from the output parameter from this action one. Now, if this login action is passed without any error, only then I want to continue the execution of all these steps. Suppose if this login action itself is failed, then I should not run all these statements in the script. So I can add here one if condition, if B result, or I can say B login result. This variable name I'm defining B login result. It is a variable name. If B this login result is true, if this B login result is true, only then run this statements, all these statements, all these steps. And here I'm writing end if. End if. So look at that. Okay, clear here? See here, this login action, into this login action we are passing these two values, and from this login action we are getting one value. What is that value? The status, either true or false. And this value I am checking here, I am checking in the parent action. I am using this value in the parent action. This variable value is true. That means this login action is executed without any error. Then I can proceed. I can run all these steps. Suppose if this login result variable is false, that means the login action is failed, not executed successfully. Then I should not continue the execution of these steps. I should come out of this end if. So like that, I want to control these steps execution based on the status of this action 1 execution. Understand that it like this we can use output parameters in the real-time script, in the real-time automation project. Okay, now let me run this. Close this. Here I am passing valid username and valid password, so this action 1 should be passed without any issues, and it should return true value here, and automatically it should run all these steps without any issues now. See, it is running, insert order is running fine. For example, if login action is failed, then see that what happens. See, for example, if I pass here invalid password, if I'm passing here invalid password test, now what happens? If I run the script, the QTP gets here false value into this variable, so this condition will be failed. So automatically it will come here. See, I will print here one statement in else. Just simply print here login failed message I'm printing. See that it will execute this statement. It will skip all these statements and it will execute this statement. Now if I run my script, see that it is waiting in the login action. So it is looking for flight reservation window that is not open. So script is failed. And you can see that message, login failed. Login failed message is displayed here. That means this statement is executed. So that means this if condition is failed. That means this value is false. Got it? See how we are controlling the execution flow based on the previous action status. So here login action we are running. If this action execution is passed, only then I want to continue this statement's execution. Otherwise I want to come here directly. So how I'm doing that? By using action output parameter concept. So all of you clear the concepts of action input and output parameters, how to use that in the real-time script in QTP. Okay, Chandu and Subbarao, let us take some 10 minutes break and I'll be back, okay, at 5 o'clock. We will continue our session after 10 minutes. Okay, at 5 o'clock we will continue the session. Let's start recording. Yeah. So here in action output parameter, again 3 points that we have to understand. First one is, what is the use of action output parameter? It is used to pass or return the data to parent action from the child action. And how to create action output parameter and how to use that. How to create and use action output parameter. So it is same like action parameter. Creation of output parameter is same as action parameter. After creating the action output parameter, what we have to do in the second step, we have to assign, that is defined here, we have to assign the return value to output parameter in the child action that we have done here. And the next step, define a storage variable or parameter in the run action statement in the parent action. So for this action, this is the parent action. So in the parent action, inside run action statement, we are defining here one variable to receive the value from output parameter. So this variable will receive the value from output parameter action output parameter, and that variable value can be used in the parent action. Okay, so that is what we have done here. And now how to receive the question, third question is how to receive the data from action output parameter. Action output parameter. How to receive the data in the parent action. In the parent action from action output parameter in child action. So for that, what we have to do? We have to define this third step answer. For this question, answer is we should define a storage variable or parameter in the run action statement What's happening? Okay. So define a storage variable or parameter in the run action statement in parent action. That is one way to receive the data in the parent action from output parameter. What we have done to receive the data in this parent action from this action 1, we defined here one variable or parameter, and into this variable that output parameter value will be automatically assigned. And another way is in action call properties window we can define this storage variable or parameter. One is in the run action statement we can define, or in recording. We can define this storage variable or parameter to receive the data from the output parameter either in the run action statement or in the action call properties window. Okay, so here you can define storage variable or parameter in the action call properties window as well. We can define that, or it is important, or here, or either this one or this one, anyone we can use, both are same. So look at that. See here we defined here b login result variable, right? If you go and see in action call properties of this action parameter values, see, look at that variable. Whatever the variable you defined, we defined in the run action statement, the same variable is defined here. See that? Okay. So anywhere we can define, either here or there, both are same. Okay. So that is this one. So that is about action parameters. So about action parameters, two concepts. There are two types of action parameters: action input parameters and action output parameters. And what is the use of action parameter, and what is the use of action output parameter, and how to use these parameters, that we have seen. Okay. And now the next type of parameter is test parameter. Test parameter concept. What is this test parameter concept? So the test parameter means nothing but a parameter which is defined inside the QTP test, not inside QTP actions. Action parameters are defined inside QTP actions. Okay, so parameter which is defined in QTP test, in the test script, but outside of all actions, not inside any action here. That is important point. So again, test parameters are two types. Similar to action parameters, test parameters are two types. First one is test input parameter. Second one is test output parameter. Let us see first test input parameter. So in QTP we only use test input parameter, we don't use test output parameter in any scenario. Okay, test input parameter. What is this test input parameter is, and what is the use of this? What is the use of test input parameter? See, it is used to pass the data into the QTP test from external program, from an external program, external program. What is the use of the test input parameter is, suppose if you are calling the QTP test script from some other external program like C program or C++ program or C# program or VB program, so that is a separate program apart from the QTP script. QTP script is a separate script, and that some C# program I have written or some VB script program I have written in separate library file, and from that library file or from that external program written in different language or in the same VB script language, so from that program we can execute QTP scripts in QTP tool. So generally in the real-time automation projects, if you take all automation frameworks, in all automation frameworks we are creating one core component in all automation frameworks, that is called driver program. So that driver program can be written in any language. It can be in VB script, or it can be in C#, or it can be in C also we can write. So there is one driver program. So that driver program executes all automation scripts in the QTP tool one by one. So when you run automation scripts by using some automation framework, what happens? In that automation framework, there could be one driver program which is the main core component of the framework, and that driver program executes the automation scripts in QTP tool one by one. So that is a good example. So that means in this scenario, that means when a framework driver program is running the QTP script, in that scenario, if you want to pass any data from the driver program into the QTP script, that is a good example. That means sometimes you will be running our QTP script from external program. That means apart from the QTP test program, QTP script program, we have defined some external program, and from that external program we are running that QTP script. So in that scenario, if you want to pass the data into the QTP script from that external program which is calling that QTP script, then we use this test input parameter concept. So basically this concept will be used in the automation frameworks, particularly in the driver program, to pass the data into the QTP script from the framework driver program. They will be using this concept, test input parameter concept. In the same way, if you want to return any data from the QTP script to external program, then we use test output parameters concept. Okay, but really test output parameter concept is not in use in any of the scenarios, but test input parameters can be used in automation frameworks driver program. But let us see how to create test input parameters and how to use that test input parameter data inside the QTP script. So this we will see. And one more important note about action parameters, I have to say that before that. Action parameters, all action parameters are local parameters. That means That means if you define one action parameter that can be input or output, input parameter in action 1, it cannot be used, it can be used only within the action 1 and cannot be used in any other actions, so it is one important point about action parameters. One important note: all action parameters are local parameters. What does that means? If you define one action parameter in action 1, suppose if you define one action parameter in action 1, that parameter can be used only within that action 1 and it cannot be used in any other actions. That means if you have two actions, action 1 and action 2, and if you define one parameter inside action 1, that same parameter cannot be used in action 2. That parameter is available only inside action 1. That's it, over. That parameter will not be available in action 2 or in any other action. Not possible. Even in any other child actions also. That is one important point that I forgot to mention here. Okay. Now let us see that how to create test input parameters and how to use it. How to create test input parameter. To create a test input parameter, we have to go to File, Settings. In the test settings window, we have to go to Parameters tab, and here you can see input and output parameters inside a test settings window. Okay, so have to go to File menu, Settings, and select here Parameters tab in test settings window. Okay, and then define, click plus button at top list box, define parameter name and type, data type, click OK. That's it. So very simple. Clicking creation of test input parameter is same like action input parameter, but only difference is in the test settings window we have to create here, define here one input parameter. I'm defining some name, for example give some test parameter, right? TIP, for example agent name. I'm passing here TIP agent name, TI agent name, test input parameter. Okay, I'm defining one input parameter here, apply. Okay, done. I have defined here one input parameter. Now one important note here, the test input parameter cannot be used in any action directly. It's not possible at all. Okay, let me take the snapshot of this. Let me take the snapshot. Okay, now one important note here, test parameters cannot be used in any action. It is not possible. Let us see that. Suppose here I defined one action input test input parameter TI agent name. Copy that, and if I try to use that parameter inside this action 1, See, before calling login action, just I am trying to print it. Print parameter of that parameter name. It will throw error here. It will throw error. See that error. What is that error is? Type mismatch error will come. See that. Parameter is not found. Parameter is not found. Why it is not found? This parameter is not defined inside action 1. That's why it cannot find it. This test parameter is defined in the QTP test outside of all actions. So that is the reason. So we can't use the test input parameter value directly in any action. Okay. Then how to use it? How to use that test input parameter value in the QTP script, in QTP actions? So that is our next question. How to use test input parameter data in QTP actions. How to use that? If you want to use the test input parameter value in any QTP action, what you have to do? You have to pass that test input parameter value to action input parameter, and through that action input parameter you can use that inside that action. We can't use test input parameter directly in any action. So what we have to do? If you want to use that test input parameter data in the inside any action, what we should do? Pass the test parameter data into action input parameter and use that action input parameter inside the action, in action, wherever you want. So this is how you can use the test parameter inside the actions. We can't use it directly. Only through action input parameter we can access that test data parameter, test parameter data. Let us see that. So here inside the script I defined one test parameter called TI agent name. Now I want to pass that TI agent name parameter value in this run action statement as input. Agent name value I want to pass as input from the test input parameter. So in the place of Prasad, here I want to use the value from test input parameter. That means here I want to write parameter of TI agent name. I cannot write like this because the test input parameter is defined inside the QTP test but not inside this action 1. So we can't use this test input parameter here. It will throw error. If I use this test input parameter directly inside this action 1, we are getting error. See, we are getting error. It is not possible. So what is the way? Instead of using the test input parameter directly inside this action 1, what I should do? Define action input parameter inside this action 1. Right click, go to action properties, parameters, define one action input parameter. What is this? Here I am defining action input parameter AI agent name. I am defining one action input parameter. Done. See, to this action input parameter you can pass the data. How you can pass the data to action input parameter? There are two ways. One is inside run action statement you can pass the data, or in action call properties window also we can pass the data. So for this action 1, because it is a topmost action, there is no run action statement. So I will go now action call properties window. Action call properties window. Parameter values. So this is the input parameter that we defined inside this action 1. So to this action input parameter, I want to pass the data from test input parameter. So here click on this value column and click this button. and select here parameter radio button and choose test or action parameter option. And now it displays here the test parameter name automatically. So the TI agent name, it is a test input parameter that we defined. See, that will be listed here automatically. So select that test parameter, click OK. See, look at that here. This is the test input parameter and this is the action input parameter. That means the test input parameter is assigned to action input parameter. Now I can use this action input parameter inside this action one. So instead of writing here TI agent name, I should write here AI agent name. This is the name of the input parameter I defined. To this input parameter, I am passing the value from test input parameter. Understand? And that this value is assigned from into this parameter. We are passing the value from test input parameter, and this parameter value you are passing into this action one. Understand? See, look at that flow. So this input parameter is assigned to action one first input parameter. Inside login action, first input parameter. Test is the password. Let me give Mercury is the password. Mercury. Yeah. Now, this is the way how we should have to pass the data, how to use the test input parameter inside QTP actions. Now, next question, how to pass the data to test input parameter. How to pass the data? There are two ways. What is the use of test input parameter? To pass the data into the QTP script from external program. That means if you are calling that QTP script from other external program, then you will be having some calling statement for this QTP script. So in that calling statement, you can pass the data like run action statement. Here you are calling action, so the statement is run action, but you are calling how to call QTP script in other programs. For that, you should have idea about automation object model. That comes, we'll discuss that later in the sessions. Okay. So now at present, in this example, we are not calling this script from external program, but still we can pass the data. How we can pass the data? Like this. Click run button. When you click run button, it displays a run dialog box. In this run dialog box, we could see input parameters tab. See that the test parameter is displayed here, TI agent name, and to this parameter I can assign here value. This is the name I want to assign. I am assigning to this test input parameter, and this test input parameter will be assigned automatically into this action input parameter, and this action input parameter is passed into this action one. So in the login dialog box inside this action one, it enters this value now. Look at that. Click OK. Varaprasad will be entered now. See, look at that. Varaprasad is entered in the login dialog box. So how we can pass the data into this test parameter? In run dialog box and input parameters tab. Data can be assigned to test input parameters. Are we clear? So let me take that snapshot. Click run button, and this is the value. Here you can pass the value. Suppose if you pass a wrong value, VAR, it is wrong, invalid value. Let me take the snapshot. Okay. See, now it will enter VAR in the login dialog box, and it should be failed now. So it is failed. Okay, where is it? VR value is missing. My VR is not displayed. Okay, let me run once again. Oh, sorry, I clicked the OK button directly without entering the value. Click run button, and here I have to pass. Okay, I'm entering simply RAM. Only 3 letters I'm entering. See, RAM is entered. Or it may be deleting that value, but RAM value is entered here. Correct? So that's why it is not logging in, because we have entered invalid agent name. Only 3 characters. See, that RAM is not passed directly here. From where we are passing that agent name? From test input parameter, we are taking that value into this action input parameter, and this value again is passed into this action 1, and that value is used inside the login action. Are you clear? So these are the 3 important points about test input parameters. What is the use of test input parameter and how to create that and how to use that test input parameter inside QTP actions? Why this question is important? The test parameter cannot be used directly in any action. It is not possible. You cannot access the test parameters directly in any action in QTP script. It will throw error, because the reason is the test parameters are defined inside the QTP test outside of all actions. That's the reason. And how to use that input parameter data in QTP actions? For that, what you have to do? You have to pass that test parameter data into action input parameter and use that action input parameter inside that action. We can't use test input parameter directly inside action. Understand? And how to pass the data to the test input parameter? Where you can pass the data? In run dialog box and input parameters tab, data can be assigned. Data can be assigned to test input parameters. So all of you clear about test input parameters? But this concept really, we don't use this in the normal QTP automation projects, automation scripts. In normal automation scripts, we don't use this concept. Where it will be useful? In automation frameworks. As I told you, in all automation frameworks, there could be one core component called driver program. So that driver program generally executes all automation scripts one by one in QTP tool or in UFT tool. That means the driver program is running the QTP scripts one by one in the automation tool QTP. So that driver program is called external program that is calling QTP scripts one by one. So in this scenario, if you want to pass any data from that driver program into the QTP script, in this scenario, this test input parameter concept is used in this scenario. So, but not in the normal QTP scripts. So inside driver program, if you want to pass the data from driver program to QTP script, any data, then this test input parameter concept will be used. Okay, any questions here about action parameters and test input parameters? And test output parameter concept will not be used in any of these scenarios, because again, what is the use of test output parameter? To return the data from QTP script to external program. So it is very rare scenario. We never use this concept even in the real-time projects also. Only test input parameter also will be used very rarely, not in all automation frameworks. In some automation frameworks, if they need to pass any data from the framework driver program to QTP test, in that scenario, we use this concept in the automation framework, but not in the normal QTP scripts. Okay. Test parameter and action parameters. So you have any doubts on this? action and test parameters concept. Guys, really, these two parameters really will not be used very frequently or most frequently in the real-time automation projects, but it is really important to know that what is the use of action parameters, how many types of action parameters are there, and how to use that. Hmm? What is the purpose of those parameters, input and output parameters, and what is the test parameter, and how to use it in QTP actions. So these concepts you should know. It will be useful for interview point of view, but in the real-time projects point of view, these two parameters may not be used very frequently in the automation project, in the automation scripts. Okay, but the next parameters, whatever is there, those parameters are very important. That means data table parameters and environment variables. These two parameters are the most important parameters. These two parameters will be used in almost all automation projects, in all automation scripts. So these two things are very important, 3 and 4. Again, 5 and 6 will be used very less. Only 3 and 4 parameters are the parameters which will be used most frequently, most widely in automation projects. Okay, so you have any queries or any questions on this? And Shiva and all of you, right? What is my request is, so far the concepts what we covered here, I have given the list, right? See, inputting steps automation, how to automate the normal input steps that we have seen already, and also we have seen how to automate validations, different types of validations, and how to automate synchronizations. Okay, how to synchronize the QTP with the application, that we have seen, and also conditional statements and loop statements also we have seen that already. Correct? Loop statements also we have seen that. Let me add that also. Loop steps. Okay, looping steps, and also reporting steps we have seen that. Updating the status in the result file and getting the runtime data from the application by using getarrow property statement. So all these things we have seen. So I want you, right, to try to do some what is it, practice, right? How you should do practice to get confidence. If you want to get a confidence in QTP or any automation tool, you should practice like this. How it is, take some application. Even if you take a flight resolution application, also good enough. Or, but right, unfortunately, our QTP tool is not working properly. Higher version of QTP tool, and we are not able to access web-based applications. But if you have in your system higher version of QTP is available and accessible, and if you are able to identify web applications, my sincere request is to practice with any web-based application. If it is not accessible, then take this flight resolution application itself. But how you should practice that? That's what I'm telling now. See, it is very important. Any application, take any application. It is, if it is a web application or flight resolution application, whatever it is. See, to learn QTP or any automation tool in the realistic way, that means you should be able to work in real-time project. To get that confidence, then definitely you should practice like this. Take any application, understand few functionalities in that application. Let us take login functionality. See, in this login functionality, what are the different types of errors we are getting? See how it is working, that functionality. Just understand that. Understand that functionality. Login functionality or insert order functionality. In the insert order itself, there are so many validations are there. In the login itself, there are so many validations are there. There are different error messages you are getting in the login. And for all these functionalities, write test cases. Literally, manually. See, I have with me everything. I have done it for applications, for flight resolution application I have done. See, for practicing, you should do that. You should write test case, understand the functionality and write the test cases. Then automate those test cases one by one by using all these things. Then come to me if you have any doubt or any issue while automating those test cases. See, that is how you should have to do that. That means, right, if you practice bits and bits a bit and bit by bit and bit, right, it won't be effective. But if you implement these concepts, what we are learning here in automating test cases in some application, only then you understand how that concept is used in the real-time test cases automation and what kind of issues you are facing. See, these are the things, right, they will be expecting in interviews. See, while automating the test cases, how you automate the test cases, that's what they want to understand from you. Okay, what kind of issues you faced, how you have overcome those issues. Those things means to know that you should have to do some hands-on practice on some test case automation, not bits and bit. Okay, that's why I'm trying to write even in my scripts also. I'm trying to write align every script with some test case for our easy understanding. See how we are automating the test cases in the real-time project. So that's how I'm creating the scripts here in our demo also. So I want you to practice same thing with some application. Take some small application. You no need to automate the entire application. Take any one small functionality. Understand that. Write some 5 to 10 cases, not more than that. 5 to 10 cases. Then automate those 10 cases. 10 create scripts. Then while creating these 10 cases, you will be learning a lot of things. All the things in the QTP2. Then I will explain you. Then the concepts, whatever we are discussing here, we have to implement those concepts in those scripts one by one. Then definitely you will be getting very clear picture about automation, how we can automate any project or any test case using QTP tool. Not only QTP tool, any tool. See, the problem is when you try to learn that concept directly without practicing in the real-time scenario, then it looks like understandable, but when you try to do that really, then definitely you cannot understand. And when you face some any interview, and if they ask any question related to uh, practical oriented, then you may not be in a position to answer that. But if you do that practice with some real examples, with some real test cases, then definitely you could be in a position confidently you can answer any questions, even practical oriented questions you can answer confidently if you practice with some sample test cases automation. Okay guys, you got my point, what I'm trying to say. So do that way practice and come to me if you have any issue or any, even right, don't worry that our course is Shiva, even if our course is completed, don't worry that our course is not completed, you cannot come to me, you can reach me anytime. But I want you to practice, that's it. If you practice and if you have any issue at any point of time, you can reach me, you can come and I can clarify that and do that. You can do more test case automation. Really, I will tell you one good example, right? A realistic Chandu and Subbar, everybody. In one of my team member, he is a Andhra guy only. He sits near to me in my project. He is having good experience, some 6 years of experience in manual testing. When he joined in my account, he sits with me just near next to me, and right, he is really interested to learn automation. So what I have given, right, just I ask him to automate our test cases, our application test cases weekly, every Saturday, Sunday, two test cases to automate using QTP. So he practiced it in the at home. No, why no? He from home also we can access our RDP missions, everything. So he opened a RDP missions and he automated our application test cases, two test cases every Saturday, Sunday. If there is any issue, right, he used to take a snapshot and come to office and then discuss that issues. Again he will complete that test case automation. Like that, he learned that QTP by practicing, and now within just a 6 months time, now he is working in a UFT as a full-time automation resource. Not only in UFT, he is working now in Selenium as well. He learned Selenium also in the same process from me, and he started working in Selenium, and he started working in UFT as a full-time automation resource. That's what anybody really, right? If you practice like that with real-time test cases examples, then only you will learn the real work, how you should do automation, what concepts, how you should use these concepts.
Only practice is needed, Prasad.
Yeah, that's what practice is required. But how that practice? That's what I'm telling. You should take one small application and understand some functionality, and for that functionality, write some detailed test cases, and then automate those test cases. That's how we have to do. You have to take some test cases, then automate. If you take some test cases, right, then you should cover all the steps of whatever you have written in the test case. Then you will think that how to automate each step. Then you will be seeing that in one test case, different types of test steps will be there. Different types of validations, different types of inputs will be there. Okay, so then only you will be learning all QTP concepts, where we have to use that. Hmm?
Yeah.
No, if you do like this, right, it will be very easily you can learn QTP. Within just 1 month time is enough. If you do that practice every weekly, really, I wondered. He learned just only worked on only weekends, Saturday, Sunday. And every daily he used to discuss with me doubts. If there is any issues in the script, I will just explain him how that works, and he used to do that practice again. He used to do scripting. That's it. Saturday, Sunday. Just he has done like that for 1 and 2 months. That's it. He become full-time automation resource. Really, that interest maybe that guy has interest also maybe. Very seriously he worked like that, and he become right full-time automation resource. Like that in our you see in our see if you have good experience, definitely nobody will give you directly a chance to work in automation. So like that, first you have to show something. What is that? You should know that you should deliver directly without informing anybody. Do something automation and deliver that and show that. Only then they will may believe you. Yes, he is capable of doing that, and you will be getting that opportunities. Like that, he has done it actually. So then manager also accepted. Then I also recommended him because he is delivering the scripts. He has shown the scripts execution everything. And manager also cannot write stop it because he has shown that scripts what he created and it is running good. Then what managers will say? Yeah. Okay. Shivan, Chandu,
Yeah.
any doubts? Yeah. Yeah. Sure, Shivan. I will show you that today how to run that key. Yeah, okay, Chandu and Shiva, that's it for today session. Today we discussed about parameters, action parameters and test parameters. So the next session we'll discuss most important parameters, data table and environment variables next Saturday. And maybe mostly by Sunday we'll complete all parameterization concepts. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Shiva, just wait and I will show you that.